Welcome to Melted, Boston Free Radio. Lots of good stuff going on with your host, Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood. So excited today to have Rudy Sarzo of, let's just go down a short list, Quiet Riot, Ozzy, Whitesnake, Blue Oyster Cult, The Guess Who, to name a few. He is such an interesting individual. We have a lot to talk about. A lot of fun, too. Talk about his life and music. Having a good time is an understatement. And Melted is sponsored by Carlino Guitars, the hottest brand in the land. And he does straps, guitars, anything a band needs down to the t-shirt he will help you with. He plays a mean guitar himself. Maybe throw him on vocals. He has a nice purple couch. You can find him at 135 Mystic Ave in Medford. Sunday, 11 to 7, Monday through Friday, 11 to 9, Saturday, 10 to 7. Joe Filoni does lessons there, and he has about 1,000 guitars to choose from. So we have a great time down at the store. Eddie made an Ibanez PS120 blinged out for me a few years ago, much in the style of Paul Stanley, who we appreciate from Kiss. Today's guest is so interesting with his life story and having 5 multi-platinum records in a row. Some of us are just trying to get an EP together. So it's just really super to understand his life, his journey. He's from Cuba originally. He came to the United States and toured all over the world. What more do you want? Hanging out with Ozzy, Quiet Riot, the list goes on. What hasn't Rudy done? Quiero presentarles a un bajista mundialmente conocido del grupo Quiet Riot, Ozzy, Whitesnake, Dio, Blue Oyster Cult, Queensryche, Devil City Angel, ahora, The Guess Who, un autor, su libro, Off the Rails, él tiene su propio programa del radio, 6 Degrees of Sarzo, yo quiero tocar el bajo igual que él, me das 500 años, bienvenido a Melted, Rudy Sarzo, woo!
How you doing?
Better now.
What's going on?
Just good stuff in the middle of the pandemic. I've been just working on, my music and taking a day at a time and, just having as much fun as we can staying inside. It's kind of like, I think you coined it best. Is it Groundhog's Day or Escape from LA? How have you been doing?
I'm doing good. Just it's all good. It's all good. No complaints. I'm blessed.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you like to talk about today?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for punking me because a lot of my research on you, I've been to a few Super Bowls. And after I saw that you were at the Super Bowl, I was like, oh, wow. And then you were joking and saying, people miss sarcasm. So have you ever really been to the Super Bowl? I really enjoyed the joke, by the way.
No. No. No, I mean, I personally, I don't see the attraction to it.
Yeah.
Let's say a few years ago, there was one in Houston, and a few of us who were part of a charity event flew down to participate in a charity event performing. And it turned out to be total mayhem, and the promoter of the show ran away with some money, and we didn't even get to perform. But that's as close as I got to be involved in the Super Bowl. See, there's all these peripheral things going on right before the game.
No, absolutely. It's a huge festival, really.
Yes, a huge festival, yeah. And shit happens. So along with good, well-intended shows being promoted, there's also certain shows that they might have a whole different reason for being there.
No, absolutely. I actually, speaking of 6 Degrees of Separation, I had Britt Lightning on the show. And I told, yes, awesome. And I know that you interviewed her. And I said to her, hey, have you guys, Vixen, played the Super Bowl yet? She's like, no. I said, well, I'm going to work it out for you guys to play there next year. And she laughed. And I think now, Rudy, we're going to have you on that same bill. It's only fair.
Yeah. No, after dancing with The Weeknd,
I know that was enough.
Yes, it's all downhill from there. Yeah. I was watching that. I'm going like, imagine. I felt for the people that were actually involved because I'm thinking they have no proof.
Yeah, I mean,
those dancers, you can see their faces. So I figure, yeah, that could be me. Hey, yeah, let me post something absurd. Because it wasn't even sarcastic; it was absurd.
Well, it was also, I think people forgot how to have fun, and you had me. I watched some of it because, I like the Patriots. A couple of the players were in it this year. I actually watched the whole thing, and after a while, I saw The Weeknd and the guys with the violins. I go, Rudy is not here. I cannot see him. Like, what is going on? So,
okay. I actually did not. I was doing something else at the moment. I was working on something. I mean, the Super Bowl usually. It's traditionally around my neighborhood, and somebody throws a party, people drop by. In the afternoon, I usually wash the car.
Yes.
Because for some reason, it's really a nice day in LA during the Super Bowl. So it's like a do-nothing day, basically. And then you go to your neighbor's house and you have some double dipping on chips and salsa, and you have some soda. I don't even drink soda because it's got what the carbonated drink, and it makes me gassy, So sometimes I bring my own tea, iced tea. Iced tea, some chips, and I go home. I really don't care. I don't care who's playing. I don't care about anything,
Well, that's what kind of a guru said. The first step in the right direction is not caring about sport. I can see the point. And you know what? Legitimately, some people, everybody has their own interests, So it's the same deal. It was less this year because of the pandemic, obviously affecting everything. How was your Valentine's Day?
It was lovely. Wonderful. My wife, my little dog, and me home and finish a project and spend time together, and so good. It's a big one. Well, today I was reflecting on personally the blessing that has been to spend time with my family, because most of my touring is done now on the weekends. But even on the weekends, and I don't mean my fellow performer at the Super Bowl. I mean the actual Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We like long weekends, Rudy.
Yeah, I like to clarify, especially because it seems to like nowadays you can't take any chances. Because
right.
People might say, I tour on the weekend. Oh, Rudy's going on tour with the weekend. No, it means that either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday I'm playing somewhere with the Guess Who, and then the rest of the week I'm home. But that means that I might have to fly across, usually coast to coast. I live in LA. Most of the gigs are on the East Coast or the Midwest. Means that I got a hub out of Minneapolis, Detroit, or Atlanta. And it means that I have to get up really early in the morning. So my travel days are actually 12-hour days, because I go LA, let's say LA, Atlanta, then catch a flight to go to the final destination. Then most of the times drive. They'll have a shuttle, because we play a lot of casinos, and the casinos are away from the major cities where the airports are. So then you wind up, the shuttle driving you 2 hours to the casino. You get there, you have dinner, go to sleep, get up the next day, do sound check, do the gig, go to sleep, get up early in the morning, go back to the airport. Another 12 hours.
Right. They've written songs about you. He's a traveling man, made a lot of stops.
How old are you? I was going to go for Moving On by that company.
Put it this way. Rudy,
Not Ricky Nelson from the 60s. Go on.
don't tell anybody I'm in their fan club on Facebook.
Which one? The Ricky Nelson fan club?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love Ricky Nelson.
Oh.
I used to watch him, Ozzy and Harriet. I am that old.
Well,
Every week, Ozzy and Harriet. Yeah.
well, I like to say, wait till you and I hit 30 years old. I've been 28 for centuries.
Oh, you have.
I thought I'd be cooler than the 27 club. I made it to 28, and then I just stayed there for decades.
Yes, just like a vampire. When you get bitten in the neck at 28, you're 28 forever.
And I'm grateful for that. So with your touring, I was just going to ask you a question. Say you were to take your wife or friends out for dinner and to pick your favorite foods, and you hadn't eaten all day, and it's a 7-course meal. Is it Cuban beef picadillo? Is it sushi? Like, you've been everywhere, and probably tried a lot of different foods. What would it be?
When was the last time you saw a picture of me? Because I am between 135 and 140 pounds. A 7-course meal is not.
Well, usually those are the small ones, especially at these expensive restaurants. You're spending all this money, they give you spoon-filled. No. So if you could go.
Actually, you know what? Okay, I'll tell you. Like I was telling you that, on my 12-hour trip to get to the venue, the hotel, the venue. Usually, let's say we play a casino, and the casino is next to a hotel that is part of the resort. So the band, we always have that Friday night dinner, and it's usually at a steakhouse because some of the guys in the band, they like really, really good wine, and usually the steakhouse that has a good wine. And I just go for company because I don't drink alcohol. I've been sober since 97.
Congratulations. I just made 10 years.
Oh, wow. Congratulations to you, too.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. And it's Friday night. I've just been traveling. And what happens is I usually go in the morning really early because I want to see. I live in LA, and the traffic is so bad that by 5:30 in the morning, you turn on the news and there's some disaster that happened on the freeway every single day. Unfortunately, there's some semi turned over, people got killed, or it's a drive-by shooting, somebody jumping off a bridge. You never know. So I said, you know what? Let me just leave a half hour early or so. If anything happens, I can get off the freeway and make it to the airport on surface streets. Okay. So that means I leave the house like 4:30. My flight is at 9 usually. So that means I'm going to be at the Delta Lounge for about a couple hours, just sitting there, and I'll be picking on stuff. During the day, through the day, I'm going to be picking.
Yes.
Picking little snacks here and there. Then most of the time I get bumped to first class just because I fly so much and that I'm on that list. Okay. So lately they just been giving you box snacks, like a box of snacks, they're already wrapped.
It's changed from the old days for sure.
Yeah, well, they right before COVID they were giving like a meal only on first class, but now they give you this little box that has like all these little snacks in it, hummus and little almonds and whatever. So I just eat some of it. The rest I put in my coat pocket, and as the flight, which is usually about 5.5 hours, goes on, I munch on it, right? And then I get to wherever I'm going, and so I get to. So I've been eating all day long. I've been snacking on little things here and there, and so by the time that I get to dinner that night, I'm still full. So instead of having a steak or something heavy like that, I just have like a soup, a salad, and done. While everybody else is, doing whatever. But because I go for the camaraderie, the fellowship, hanging with my bandmates, and that's it. That's pretty much me. And then the following day, I'll have breakfast and light breakfast, and then around 1:00 I'll have a burger. I'm trying to wean myself out of eating that burger on show day, but it seems to work. And I have it like around 1:00, and the show is around 8:00. That gives me about 7 hours to digest. Then I hit the stage. I don't feel stuffed from food, And I do the show, go back to my room, and I usually eat a yogurt. I request backstage yogurt after the show, and that's it. Get up the next day and get back on the plane.
No, absolutely. That's great to
Yeah.
hear. You also inspired me. I had an interview with this heavy metal band, Crimson Wing. Start the interview, and I'm like, if you could be a bar of soap, what shape and scent would it be?
You asking me?
And I'm asking you now because I saw you talking about it in an interview. I would be Brothers Artisan Oil, the wash. But I thought it was it's your sense of humor is great.
But lately because of COVID, hotel soap. I used to bring him. Bring it, and then once in a while, when I had enough, I would put like little care packages and send it over to needy people, either the homeless or soldiers, in the military. And now they're doing away with that and making everything like liquid. They have like dispensers
Right.
in the shower, and they have everything: the shampoo, conditioner, and soap. And I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, but I still really did like to take those bars of soap from various hotels.
Yeah.
Let's stack it up. You're
Yeah.
very noble, Rudy, from what I was doing with mine, so I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I usually go to Costco and get a pack of Irish Spring soap, and that's my shower soap at home.
Thank you. I'm EU and US. I'm Irish. So
Okay.
representing the brand, I appreciate it.
That's right. Yeah.
How did you meet Eddie Carlino?
We met online.
Nice.
Actually, I tell you exactly. I was introduced to Eddie through Mark Slaughter.
Yes.
Who was a big fan of his creations, of Eddie's creation. He's very talented. He's an artist. He really is.
Eddie made a Ibanez PS 120 blinged out like Paul Stanley for me, and a mic that's blinged out. And even though my mother says, when are you just going back to the guitar because you can't sing, Eddie makes you look great no matter who you are.
That is good. And that's 99% of it,
Just having a lot of fun. Yeah, his straps are great, and he's at the shop. I like to go over. We have a lot of laughs. That's another, 6 Degrees of Sarzo. I interviewed not only Britt Lightning, but had a chance to interview Mark Slaughter last year about his life and times of rock and rolling, and he's still going to be back out on tour shortly when things lift. And he is just a super nice guy as well.
Yes. I love Mark. He's a great human being and incredibly talented. And I got to interview him for my show too, and we had a blast.
Yeah, and that's the key in life. Now, I wanted to ask you about teaching guitar at Masonia Music School. At the request of your bandmate, Randy. And it was funny, like when we get put in these situations, what do I do? And Randy told you, look, what you do is everybody wants to learn the Van Halen, but they've got to learn the modes and scales. So it was kind of like a 1-2 punch, so they're getting everything. Now, Randy's family owned the school, correct?
They still do. It's in the family.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Did you have a chance to, you're not only hanging out with him, but did you get to have lunch with the family at that time in your life? And, discussions over lunch or dinner, hanging out?
No, not really. I mean, I went to his house a bunch of times, but they were usually for Choir Riot meetings. So that was kind of like a common meeting place. No, I did not do a whole lot of hanging with Kelly. I mean, everybody was doing, their own thing. And I believe Kathy had just gotten married, his sister. So, just like a lot of young families, young as far as the kids growing up, and now they're entering into adulthood. everybody is doing their own thing, and Mrs. Rose was really busy with the school. So there was not a whole lot of hanging, except, like I mentioned, certain parties, birthday parties, and uh, 70s versions of birthday parties, which were really more about like happy days than I guess the usual gathering of young people at a what is it, the Airbnb.
Airbnb. Well,
Yeah,
the other thing is too, really,
yeah.
because I lived through that. My father's a policeman, and I
Mm,
remember those parties. I have three beautiful sisters myself. Even
mm,
through college, we didn't have cell phones, so we actually had to
mm.
look at each other and
Yeah,
talk, and you know, have our laughs and our stories, which is, I think, lost sometimes with technology. And technology is really helpful, for musicians today. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Did you enjoy teaching the students any broken strings stories? I appreciate what you said about gear. Amplifiers are to amplify your music. Sometimes, even myself, I get carried down with I need all sorts of gear. Did you enjoy the teaching?
yeah. I still do. Uh, it's hard for me to teach one-on-one on during this COVID era because it's hard for me to like reach out through my computer screen and
Yes.
show somebody, whether how they're placing their specifically their body language. I think that's the first thing that young musicians do not really grasp is not just holding it, but how am I going to make this instrument an extension of my body to express myself? You know, and this is something that I've even studied. When I say study, is because I've been a fan of music longer than I've been a professional musician, and I always like to learn. I mean, first thing I do in the morning is I go to YouTube and get music lessons, or like I call it, uh, perceptions and perspectives
Yes.
of other musicians, how they look at the 12 notes. How so a lot of times I can pick up when somebody else is they're looking at it this way. That's interesting. So it's not just, there's more than 360-degree angles. I mean, if you look at a sphere, yeah, the circumference is 360 degrees, but then there's 360 degrees of that same degree if you start moving the degrees, let's say clockwise, or around the sphere. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. It's like with the fourths and fifths and, different modes that I am learning myself. And Louis Armstrong said the same thing. He practices every day. And it's really important. I saw you do a nice presentation for Sweetwater in front of a huge group of people talking about
Mm-hmm.
pentatonics and chord tones, and it seemed like you really enjoyed it. We talk about, the different things that you're doing now, but it's funny when you look back, you were doing some original master classes, etc.
Yeah, you mean in what year specifically?
Gosh, I know that you had a DVD.
Oh yeah, that. But see, it's what I find really interesting about teaching is that, for example, if I did a presentation, let's say a master class, 40 years ago, right? I mean, the one that you're talking about, that was 82. That's almost 40 years ago, right? You're watching a 40-year-old younger Rudy that had 40 years less of experience than I have today, right? So it's not fair for the person that's watching it or for me to say, "Oh, this is all that Rudy knows." No, 40 years later, Rudy can do a whole different masterclass and say, you know what I mean? It's so it's especially in today's uh, with the technology, YouTube. That's why I like to watch fresh, brand new uh, tutorials, because a lot of these, you know, professors or musicians are just sharing information, basically. They might not have a degree, but to me, their perspective is very significant and very important, and I really appreciate it. And I watch them. I go, let's say I find somebody that I really like, not necessarily a bass player. I usually don't watch bass player videos because unfortunately bass player videos are very bass centric, and I'm more interested in music, how to expand the musical knowledge, whether it's in jazz or, classical music, whatever, or composers and, music theory, which is really, it's not exclusive to any instrument. It's music, and so if I watch the first videos, and these are guys who have been, and girls who have been teaching, on YouTube for years. So if you watch their first videos, trust me, it's completely different than the current video because they learn along the way and they progress, and they have people subscribing to their channels and asking for questions. And if they don't know the answer, they're going to research and come back with an answer that's going to make them grow better musicians. As a matter of fact, there's an app called Go DPS Music Live. It's a free app, and I have current music tutorial videos in there.
Awesome.
And my approach is completely different from anybody that I've seen, just because I wanted to do that. I didn't want it to do anything that everybody else was already doing. I want to show a different perspective. Mine are not any better than anybody's. Of course, they're not, and they're not probably as good as the other people that I watch. But it's a different perspective to the 12 notes.
No, I agree, but I also think, and also the point of my question was, your contribution back then was still a great contribution. And somebody looking at some of those DVDs that you've done, they may get something out of that as well. And so I think it's, a great thing that you're able to share. And then I see you, with the bassist from Motley Crue talking about favorite licks. So it's a part of your history. And I appreciate how you also, I know it's President's Day, but I just wanted to wish you a happy Dorian Day. You're like, how many times do people say Dorian? And I'm like, well, Rudy, I've been saying it quite a lot as I've been soloing in A Dorian and can't get out of it,
Yeah, see, to me, Dorian Day depends of whether you look at as Monday or Sunday as being the Ionic.
Yes. How's your Mixolydian going, pal?
Yeah, it's like, okay, when does the week start? Does it start on Monday or does it start on Sunday?
And again, I love the weekend, but I love long weekends better. Let's make that clear to everyone.
Yeah. Well, let's say if you look at the weekend, we're dealing with the Lydian. We're dealing with the Mixolydian. We're dealing with the Aeolian and the Locrian.
And that's something.
Yeah. It all depends. Do you want to make Sunday the Locrian or do you want to make Saturday the Locrian? So,
I think we'll get through the Locrian on a Saturday.
Yeah. I love the Locrian. It's a very misunderstood mode.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's just so, I'm just like, I don't really venture into it too much. But with my teacher as well, I'll try it out. I'll bring it up to him. I wanted to talk about an interview you did, Sin Limites, with Elizabeth Espinosa. You studied communications. There wasn't a lot of film going on in Miami at the time.
No.
But, like you said in another video, education's important because you can use it. I have my master's in public administration and government. I've worked for the mayor of Boston, worked for my senator, etc. So education, to get one, you said it's very important. And then later in life, your show, 6 Degrees of Sarzo. My question is during your path with the different bands, were you involved in any of these music videos, producing or helping?
No. the music videos that I've done is very director centric in any band that I've been in. Uh, I did a long form video with Ozzy. That was the what became known as Speak of the Devil. That was released. It's basically the Diary of a Madman tour with Brett Gillis playing guitar, and it was aired on MTV Halloween night 1982, and then it was put on the shelf, and then it was picked up by Eagle Rock Entertainment, and it's available on DVD. That was the first time that I was in front of the camera. But it was basically, it was not a music video. It was a concert video. We were playing live. It was not like usually music videos, you lip sync and you have different scenes and you got some girl running around in
the car, the airplane. Yeah, I'm on a boat.
Yeah, things like that. So my actually first music video was Bang Your Head, Quiet Riot. The second one, Come On Feel the Noise, and so on. And so I actually was inducted into the Hall of Fame of my college, Miami-Dade, where I took the mass communication course this past year, to 2020.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much. And it means that to me means more than any other award I could receive, because this is actually I'm getting recognition from the school that prepared me for what was to come with my career. And I got to tell you, that is kind of like, it's kind of like your extended family patting you in the back saying, you know what, you did a good job. Because there's a direct connection between the education that I received and me succeeding because of the education that I received from the school, to them acknowledging that, yes, you have succeeded because you came to our school and you listened to us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, let's say Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What does it take to get there? These people don't know you. They didn't teach you. It wasn't because of me reading Rolling Stone magazine that I got an education of how to, how does stage lighting work.
Right.
What really helped me. See, this is the sequence of events. I study radio, television, and motion picture producing and directing. So what happens is I study radio and I know all the ins and out of a radio station. When in the days that there was actually two people, there's a guy spinning the disc in a booth, and there's the announcer talking, and reading or talking talking about it. Oh, now here's a word for my advertiser. And you turn around, you pick up a cartridge, and you stick it into the machine, and it plays the ad. And you got to log everything, right? This is like the old days of radio. So I learned all of that. So once I started to do radio interviews, I understood where I was. I was at home. I've been here. It was because our school had radio studios, television studios, and of course, motion picture. But it wasn't like they would do a lot of exterior shoots. Not necessarily a studio per se to film movies. And so by the time that I started doing the television course, I learned not only about camera, being in front of the camera, being behind the camera, the 3-camera shoot, which video is usually one camera, but I understood the importance of being blocked, to be in the right place at the right time. The lighting, very important. Well, one of the things that I first, when I joined Ozzy and I went down to my first rehearsal, production rehearsal, I looked at the lighting and I go, oh my God, this is exactly like the lighting that I learned in school. You got your fill lights, you got your side, you got your back. And so I asked the lighting guy every time we got a new one to please put a little cross where the light is focused. Nowadays, all the cans are basically, they're not even cans, they're just LEDs, very cold lighting. which actually creates a very harsh penumbra.
Right.
Back in the day, we had gels, which creates a very soft lighting, a very soft penumbra. And of course, we had the Super Troopers, and you understand what's going on. It didn't. I walked into it and I said, okay, I got this. I'm already educated in this. I did not have to learn where to stand during a song in order to be seen. And that's one of the reasons people remind me, because I was never in the shadows. Even if I was in the shadow, it was the shadow highlighting my silhouette, standing in the right place. I was never in the dark. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely. And your education, no matter what it is for anybody to learn, you can use it down the road. And I think it's great. Also in that interview, she asked you a question and you were like, "No, I'm not really a good swimmer." Rudy, you have
swimmer.
Something about like you're not a great swimmer maybe, but I thought Rudy has Jesus here. You walk on water. That would have been my response, unless I misunderstood it, but
I think you did. I have no idea what you're talking about. But that's okay.
I lived.
Listen. It's all perception.
Yeah.
Perception. You have a certain perception. I have certain perception. I can't say your perception is wrong. It's your own.
Well, also,
I can't argue with that.
No. Well, the other thing is too. I had the chance to live in Mexico for 6 months and learn Spanish the best I could, and really enjoy the culture, the language, and also when I was younger, my folks divorced, and I lived in a small town in Maine. So at 12, I went to live in the Bay Area with my uncle, away from all my family. I had 3 beautiful sisters. My dad left for Florida, which was tough, and you, at your age of 11, left Cuba. I mean, how was that? I mean, for me, it was within my own country, and we all have our own problems to deal with. Was that tough for you? And have you been back to Cuba?
No. I checked this morning. It's still a ruthless communist regime.
Yeah.
So I haven't been back. No. I check every day, hoping that it change. But no, it's all after what? I left in 1961. And the revolution came in 1959, so that's a long time.
No, absolutely. So it's just, it's tough, and with that, that's a loss, as well as beautiful friends. Frankie Banali, Ronnie James Dio, Randy Rhoads to pass away. How do you deal with grief?
And Kevin DeBro. Too.
Yes. Yeah. How do you deal with that?
Well, you can concentrate on 2 things. You can spend your whole life grieving, or you can at some point say, you know what, I better start celebrating the memory of those who passed, because we're one of the few left behind, and that's our responsibility. In the case of music, we have that to celebrate the music that you created and shared while we were all together, and that's. I think that's a beautiful thing, and a lot of people come to celebrate along with you.
No, absolutely, and I feel like, with being spiritual, I was going to ask, are you spiritual? I use Stoicism, Zen, Buddhism, and that helps me one day at a time to get through things. But on the flip side of that, we have things that happen in life. You had 5 consecutive multi-platinum records. It's amazing, and so much success. And it seemed to me in some of the interviews, that, you're in the moment, just like when you were at music school and people are doing our things, you have certain parties. But it seems like you're on to the next thing. When looking back, were you able to enjoy that success, and how were you able, I would say, using spirituality to help you stay away from the pitfalls of success?
What really helped me was the fact that I surrendered my life to God, And God, I like to call it the creator, or it's referring the Bible, because I've been reading the Bible over 45 years. It's the I am,
That I am.
which is the I am. It's God is, it's a word. See, when I say God, it brings up in my mind uh, depictions by Renaissance artists of what the creator is. It's usually a bearded guy, with a lot of muscles, and
I need a few of those. Thank you. I need to work out.
yeah, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's like the Sistine Chapel, Adam and Eve and God. It's like, no, if I could, I'm looking out the window now, and I can actually imagine. And this is my perception. Uh, Going through and into the universe, and keep going, never ends, never ends. And we're all part of this. I feel like I'm connected to that. I am part of the earth, and the earth is part of the solar system, which is part of the galaxy, the universe, and it keeps expanding, it keeps growing. That's God. Not the universe, but the force that created all of this.
Absolutely. Love
That
it.
to me is the creator, right? So at a certain, and this again, I like to study and get new information every day. And one of the things that I really started getting into is mathematics,
Yes.
and sacred geometry, Tesla, and the power of 3, 6, and 9, Fibonacci, the golden ratio, and you find out that there's actually an order to the universe. Everything. That's what keeps everything from colliding. All the planets and the suns and things just like bumping into each other and just exploding. There's an order to the universe. You look at nature. Look at an acorn. Look at the number of rows. It's all mathematically. The golden ratio is perfect. Uh, the only difference that in this planet, and it's really interesting, is the fact that we human beings are basically the ones who have free will. And like trees have no free will. A tree cannot pick himself up and move across the street because it likes it's a nicer house. I don't want to be in this yard. I want to be in the yard across. A person can't.
Right.
And we can fly. Hey, we're not birds, but we can fly. It's our will. And basically, I come down to the conclusion that I grew up with this concept of free will, which meant like, oh my God, the possibilities are incredible. No, it's free will to me today comes down to you got the free will to do God's will, or the free will to create chaos.
Right. It's energy. Yes.
Yeah. You got the free will to follow God, the laws of the universe, God's laws, or you got the free will to go against it and create chaos and basically, follow the laws of evil. But you
Right.
got free will to do that.
No, right. It is an age old question, if you will, and that's why studying different things, and music is math as well. My teacher
Oh,
Joe Filoni will tell me, disprove this mode and try to disprove it. It is what it is. Mathematically, that's what it is. And you had said it in an interview. Thank God they figured this out thousands of years ago and gave the modes names and
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Because
But
momentum.
but you take away the modes, and you take away even theory, you still have music. Because
Yes.
what we're actually doing, every time you write a song, you're just discovering a sequence of sequence of intervals that are actually going to give you an emotion, and it's going to make you vibrate at a certain frequency. That's what music is, really. Now you start putting the academia based of why is it? How does it work? Why is it why is it that you hear certain songs and immediately, every time I hear even the first 4 bars of God Only Knows, I'm like stunned when I hear that. Even thinking about it
Blows you
gets
away.
emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's the way that it was composed and arranged, and the tones. See, Brian Wilson did just not use your typical instrumentation. He had all these. You'll have like a bass harmonica, which has a certain resonance, and that's going to produce a certain vibration at a certain frequency. So there's so much. It's not just about the academia that we learn. Well, if you play this chord as a chord substitution for this other chord, you're going to get a certain sound. No, it's more than that. It's the human experience, and that's where the notes are.
No, and all of that is so powerful and allows all of us to let the music out of ourselves and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
endless possibilities. And as far as spiritually, I really kind of appreciate what you had said because I lived through this as well. Being with Ozzy, and immediately, if you think of Kiss, the Knights in Satan's Service and the Satanic Panic, what was it like going through that when really I think a lot of that stuff is just marketing to people and everybody gets up in arms, but it's kind of like, I think Henry Ford said it, any sort of news about me, bad or good, there's talking about me. So what was it like to go through that?
Well, there's a difference between building a car. To me, that's transportation. That's a service. And music is a service too, but it's also art. It's an art form, and they're they're both very necessary. And I thank God, for people like Henry Ford that went out and spent a lifetime trying to get create the best mode of transportation for human beings. Safe mode of transportation. Uh, but being a musician is completely different because let's say you build a Ford and somebody drives a Ford and kills somebody.
Yeah.
I it's not the Ford car that killed the person; it's the driver behind it.
Right.
Whereas music, there was a time where Ozzy was brought into question for singing a song misunderstood about Suicide Solution, which is
Right.
an anti alcohol song that was actually written after Bon Scott passed away. You know, and it's not really saying that Bon Scott committed suicide, but it's the fact that this is what alcohol can do to you. And then somebody brought up the court because the parents thought that the kid was listening to the song and the song inspired him to kill himself, right? See, this is where the art is connected to the creator. It becomes reliable, and which is not the case with Henry Ford, who builds a car, somebody kills somebody driving a car, and he's not liable for that.
No, exactly. And I think the other thing is too, if, studying all different religions, Satanists, what they say is they don't believe in a God or a devil. They're atheists, yet they're keeping the Christians in business. And you have philosophers such as Christopher Hitchens, who's an atheist, and he said even if he met the last Christian on earth, he wouldn't dissuade them from being a Christian. I think the problem with, humankind and different things is the fact that when we talk about ideas and expressing them, people take it personally. So when you have certain songs, even like you could pick any artist from Kiss, Marilyn Manson, they're singing a song about the sky and the universe, but someone takes it a different way because you brought it up from the beginning. It's perception.
Perception, yeah. Yeah, but then again, that's music. A, a, a Ford Mustang is not a perception. It might be a perception of a status of
Right.
the person that drives it, my first car was a Ford Mustang, because in 1967 that was the coolest car I could afford. Not a Corvette, but a Mustang, right?
Yes.
And it was cool. And it was perception. I thought, oh, girls are really going to want to ride on this car. It's all perception. Then that same car, 10 years later, was a piece of junk, because, it's the 70s now, and there's the Camaros and the Trans Ams. Okay,
yes.
Now you fast forward 30, 40 years later, that car is a classic.
Right.
It's the same car. Now look at, wow, look at it. It's a classic now. Yeah, I want it. And chicks are going to dig it again.
Oh, gosh. I made the mistake of selling my Audi convertible, and I sold my soul for rock and roll, but then I bought a Kia Soul to carry my gear in. So when we drive around, we can at least have some room.
Yeah.
Too much practicality.
Exactly.
But Rudy, really quick before you go, tell me about your involvement with rescue animals and your love for animals. I have a nice Siamese ragdoll that I love, but I see you posting a lot about the dogs, etc.
Yeah, in my feed on social media, I have a lot of rescues notices that come, and basically that's what I do. I just create awareness. I pass it on. I repost it. I am affiliated with a couple of organizations, but the real heroes are the people that were actually, they create these organizations, and every day they're going out there rescuing. I mean, I'm friends with Linda Blair, and she'll go, like during Katrina, she took her pickup truck, went over to the border between Louisiana and Texas, and started rescuing animals. She could not go any deeper because of the conditions going on. So, and then she just brought them back, as many as she could fit in her pickup truck. And, these are people who every day they're completely committed and have devoted their lives to rescuing animals, and I knew a couple of others like that, but just Linda comes to mind. And yeah, so all I do is basically just create awareness. I'm involved with certain charity organizations that we donate money, things like that. But yeah, I'm not, to me, that's something that it's such a given for any human being to want to be kind to animals, especially, pets, that I don't even think about it. I just do it.
Yeah, that's the key. It's just, your love. I love the posts, and I think it's really important. My grandmother said it costs nothing to be nice. And really, I wrote my own song, Famous in My Own Mind. Wherever I go, I cut the lines, not because I've accomplished anything. It's because of the kindness to the people. I know what it's like to wait tables. I've done all these things. And being humble, much like in the Bible, wash the feet. No, don't do that. No. It's an example of kindness, and that's what you're doing. So, Rudy, let me tell you something. You walk on water. You're a big help. You've done a whole lot, and really appreciate your time and just an insight to your philosophies about music. You've done a whole lot with your career, but just to see, what you're doing now, it's great. So gracias, mil gracias, hermano.
Thank you, Frankie. God bless you.
And that was Rudy Sarzo. What a great interview. So grateful for him, getting insight to Animal Lover, his snacking habits, and Dorian Day, and how important it is, even if you have 5 consecutive multi-platinum albums, they can still learn and still grow and become better musician. I started music later in life, but I am so excited to play every day and just have a good time, and that's what it's all about. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Rudy, for your time today. Melted, Boston Free Radio, sponsored by Carlino Guitars. I'm Frankie Hollywood. Get a chance? Have a great day. We love ya.
This podcast was produced in collaboration with the Boston Free Radio Podcast Network, part of BostonFreeRadio.com and Somerville Media Center, Somerville's longest-running public access media center that enables a vibrant and diverse community to express its creativity, explain its ideas, share its cultures, and foster the individual right to freedom of speech. Learn more about Somerville Media Center at somervillemedia.org or check out some of the other amazing Boston Free Radio podcasts and radio shows at bostonfreeradio.com. Thanks for listening.